What is up, everybody? DanDanTheFireman here. Today we're going to be going over this motorcycle crash that ended up with an injury. Now we're going to go ahead and focus a little bit on what you can do to stop bleeding. That way you can probably save lives, especially if you're in an area with no service, you can't get a hold of anybody, and if your riding buddy is conscious. And this can also happen to you, so know how to take care of yourself. We're going to be going over some of the stuff that I have in here and what you can use, and it's very minimal stuff. You don't need a lot. So we're going to go ahead and watch the full incident and then jump into it and talk about it.
Are you okay? Where you at? You alright, man? What did I tell you? Let me see you. Let me see you. It's the inside of my arm, dude. Let me see. Let me see. Is there anything broken?
I don't think so.
Can you feel? Can you move your fingers?
Yeah. Oh, dude.
All right. You all right? Here, I got a rag.
Probably put something on it.
Yeah. Well, here's the water. Come here. Come kneel down right here. Are you okay with blood?
I'd rather not look.
All right. Well, don't look. Don't look. It's gonna sting a little bit, but you're gonna be okay. Hold that on there right there. You okay?
Yeah, dude.
All right. Want to drink some water? Take your helmet off?
I'm good.
Let me get a look at your bike.
Fucking knew it, dude.
Well, you're lucky it's fairings. Let's get you to the hospital. Can you ride? Or do you need me to call somebody? All right, let's figure this out.
So let's go ahead and watch the crash so we can hopefully prevent that using some smart rider principles. So right away, we have some chevrons right here. That's going to indicate that's going to be sharp left turn because we're going left. A lot of trees, so it's kind of blind. We don't know exactly where the exit is so that we can go ahead and accelerate out of it. So always remember, slow look, press, and roll into turns like this, just in case something happens later on. He's going to go a little wide, and then you're going to see that rear tire kind of slip and slide a little bit, and that's going to make him lose some control and then put his left foot down as a natural response. And that's just something that happens. It sucks, but you know that's what happens. So we're going to go into a guardrail, and these things are really sharp. The top lip, if you ever walk by them, I go for a lot of walks with my dog, and sometimes I walk by some of these things, and I actually try to see like how sharp is this thing. And it's pretty sharp on the top lip. You can kind of run your finger, over the top, and you can, well, don't do that. You might get tetanus. Anyways, very sharp, so that's probably why he got an arm laceration. But when we look at this real quick, this is called mechanism of injury. So this is going to let us know, what type of injuries could happen. So if I witness this, my concern is going to be that right leg, right side. I don't even think about his right arm because it's below his waistline when he impacted. So I'm not even thinking about that. But so I'm thinking about more like leg and hip, and I'm really concerned. But then when I see him go over the top, I'm thinking more of ribs and then maybe even his face. But thankfully, he has a full face helmet, so even if he did hit his chin or hit his jaw or anything like that, the full face of the helmet will take the impact. It'll still hurt. You're still going to get punched in the mouth, but it's not going to be metal gouging your face. It's going to be gouging the plastics and then the carbon fiber, whatever it is that you have for your helmet. So he's going to bounce around, and right here, when you watch the original video, he's just sitting there for a while. This is called guarding. So there's an actual injury here. So as soon as I see this and he doesn't pop up, and I see this right here on the ground, I'm a little more concerned that there could have been some more severe injury. Typically, when you're bent over like this, it's not really a breathing problem, because a breathing problem, you're more like tripod, kind of like sitting at the end of a chair with your hands on your knees and kind of leaning forward. That's called tripoding. On this one, it's definitely guarding, and it's more so like on that arm. You see how his arms aren't out like this? And when you get some training and you get some stuff like this done, you can start picking all these things up. By the way, we do have the accident scene management class that you can take online with code DDFM with $5 off. I know right now with COVID and everything, you can't really go out and hang out and do things. You can't go to these events. So check out the online class. You're gonna get a lot of good medical advice and a lot of good training so that you can do what I'm talking about here. So anyways, he's guarding down here, so I'm a little concerned with that. So I'm we got to get stuff going. Now my wheels are turning. I want to get the roadway. I make sure nobody's hauling ass around it. I'm also wanting to see if I can call 911, at least get them going, at least get them started. Since he's not answering my questions, I'm kind of concerned at this point. I'm starting to get my brain moving, so I'm also going to grab my medical bag, which I have right here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and do a very quick patient assessment. So I'm asking questions. The fact that he's getting up, okay, good. He has mobility of his legs, good. So I'm actually getting a lot of information from this. So this is another guarding situation where he bends down like this. So this is where you need to start asking pointed questions. Hey, what's wrong, man? Tell me what's wrong. Arms, legs, what? Tell me what's wrong. And then when you get that question, you can go ahead and grab your medical bag out of your saddlebag or out of your backpack. So right here, you can kind of tell he's holding his arm. He's not holding his chest. So now we have more information. So now it's going to be a limb injury. Limb injuries are not the worst thing that could happen, but they happen quite a bit with motorcycles. So that's a big concern for a rider like this after a crash. You don't want to have any type of amputations. You don't want to have any type of massive bleeding, because it's not like in a car where you can just have one hand on the steering wheel. You need to utilize all your limbs when you're riding a motorcycle back home or to the hospital if you want to do it that way. So I'm a little more concerned when it comes to that. One of the things that a lot of people do is that they move to where they know. So if you have a lot of medical training, you move to the patient. If you don't have a lot of medical training and all you know is a motorcycle stuff because you have one, you go to the motorcycle to pick it up. This is just a common thing. It happens all the time within motorcycle communities and within motorcycle crashes. Not a lot of people want to tell people how injured they are. Not a lot of people want to even see the injury, hoping it's not going to be the worst thing, and we'll just take care of the motorcycle, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at it. We all understand it's our baby, so thankfully my friend picked it up. So thank you. But my concern is his arm. You see how he's holding his arm like that? That is definite guarding. He's holding to stabilize the arm because it's in a lot of pain if he moves it with that actual arm. So we're gonna move on a little bit more. As soon as I see that, that's a lot of blood. Okay, that is not a capillary bleed. Capillaries are, if you pinch your fingernail and it goes white and then it returns to like a reddish, that is a capillary refill. So you have a lot of little veins, little arterioles, all these little things connecting to each other in the capillaries, okay? So that's going to be very slow bleeding. So just on that crash until now, it's barely been like a minute within the video itself, and he has quite a bit of blood. So this is more so like a venous bleed. If I saw it just starting to fill up his long sleeve and it's just getting fuller and fuller and fuller, that's more of an arterial bleed. That is an emergency. Venous bleeds can be emergencies. They can ooze out pretty quick. But right now it doesn't look like he's lost a ton of blood. But then you have to start thinking, okay, we need to stop this bleeding. We need to stop the bleeding, because if we have to travel from here to the hospital or an urgent care or someplace, depending on the injury, because we don't know what it is yet, we need to make sure he's conscious and alert. So this is when we need to start getting things rolling. We need to either call 911 or we need to stop the bleed and get him home or get him to where he needs medical attention. So you can't stop. Every single second you lose some blood out of your body, you're not getting it back. So we need to do it. So right there we got a tear in the fabric, and I don't know if this is a motorcycle specific jacket or shirt, but motorcycle jackets and shirts, even the ones that look like this, they do have more reinforcement. So if you want a shirt like this that will fit your style, they do have motorcycle specific shirts just like this with Kevlar lining, with armor inserts and everything. So moving forward a little bit more, I'm not saying it's going to prevent it though. I'm just going to say that right now. It's not going to prevent the level of injury. You're still going to probably have some bad injury to that forearm, but it might be minimized. That's all I'm trying to get at right there. So we got some blood right there. So right there, not a good sign. It's like, okay, you got some bleeding going on. I'm going to get my medical kit and we're going to go ahead and do that. So at this point, I would have already had my medical kit, but if you're still kind of new to this and you're still kind of running through the motions, you don't know the process of how to really do it, because you need to have PPE to protect yourself just in case. Right here, it's like, hey, buddy, before we even look at it, before I open the sleeve more where it could be clotting that injury, and then once you open it, the blood's going to start splurting out. Before we mess with it, if it looks like it's kind of controlled, let me get my med kit. So I'm going to go ahead and grab mine real quick. So I got my med kit right here. Also, by the way, we still got a couple more of these patches. They're on my store. Check them out. Anyways, we only got like 15 left. So I have a med kit right here that I keep in my saddlebag, but this is something that you can easily attach to like a sissy bar or anything. And I really like the fact that it's red, okay? A lot of people like to have camo, but I like to be very visible. So if I'm the one in the crash, I just yell out, grab the red bag out of my saddlebag. And it also has this, and I can always tell them the patch is there. So real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and open up. So I like the ones that open up like that. I don't like to have the zippers like my old one right here where it's just a big old zipper and I have to like open it up and then open it like a book. I don't like the ones you have to open like a book. I like the ones where you can just grab and rip open. So let's go ahead and open it up real quick. And if you notice, I have a lot of the same kind of stuff in here. So I got a bunch of 4x4s. I got a bunch of cling. I got some compression bandages. I got a lot of gloves. I got trauma shears. And I also have a tourniquet for any type of limb that is not is bleeding, but I can't stop it. I also have a CPR mask so I can protect myself if I ever have to give CPR or rescue breathing. But if you notice, what I have in here is just a bunch of 4x4s, and then I have the cling and then stuff that will stop the bleeding. And that's one of the biggest things here, is that we just need to stop the bleeding until we can get medical services on scene. I have my trauma shears so I can open up clothing so I can see if there's any bleeding or any broken bones. You can always add more like a SAM splint or other stuff in here, but my biggest concern is life-threatening injuries, okay? A broken bone can be a life-threatening injury if it's cutting an artery, but there's nothing I can do with that because that's all internal. So I'm really trying to care for the external bleeding that's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and pack the wound with a lot of pressure. Let's go ahead and move forward, actually. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he's doing right here. So he's opening it up, he's opening it up, he's opening it up. He says he can feel his fingers. Go ahead and move your hands, anything broken. So right away, that's a full thickness burn. Now this just got demonetized, so if you'd like to support the channel, buy some patches or click that join button, subscribe, anything that will support the channel, because we're not supposed to be showing injuries like that. But anyways, I got 4x4s right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a couple 4x4s and I'm gonna go ahead and place them on that injury. It's not gonna be pretty, but the thing is I need to stop the bleeding and I need to get my buddy home, or I need to get my buddy to the hospital, or I need to call 911. Either way, I'm going to stop this bleeding. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some 4x4s, and you can get 5x9s. They're basically like women's pads where it's going to absorb blood, but it's in a medical bag. So that's something that you can totally do, but I like to have 4x4s and a lot of them, and it's a little bit easier to package. So I'm going to go ahead and grab and pull these things out, and I'm going to go ahead and put them on his injury, and I'm going to tell him to go ahead and apply a lot of pressure on it and push on it, as much as he can tolerate with the pain, but the main thing is stopping the bleeding. From there, I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these, and I grab these ones because they're sterile, so I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to wrap it nice and neat, and then if I have to, I'll grab another one. If it continues to bleed, I'm going to go ahead and put some more on top of that, and I'm going to probably get some more of a pressure dressing and apply it on that, but I still want him to have full mobility. But before I do all that, I'm going to put on some gloves because I want to protect him with anything that's on my hand. I don't want to get it inside the injury to cause an infection. So I know these are not sterile, but they're a lot cleaner than my hands, and they've been inside here instead. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on. I'm going to put all these things on, and if it continues to bleed, we got a tourniquet, and I'm just going to throw him on the back of my bike, and we're going to go home. I don't want him to ride with a tourniquet on his arm or anything like that. So guys, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do, and all you really need is a couple things. And all you really need is 4x4s, which is a square piece of fabric and cloth. You could rip off your own shirt, and it's basically the same thing. These are just a little bit cleaner, and they won't get dirty because they're inside of your medical kit. This can get sweaty, this can get dirty. Tourniquet, you need to learn how to use this, so please take that class, but you're gonna go ahead and close off the brachial artery, so it's gonna stop bleeding, hopefully, with a tourniquet if it's needed. But then you also have, you know, the cling and the stretch bandage where you're gonna go ahead and stretch it and keep the 4x4s on the injury. And everything I'm just explaining to you is bleeding control. This is something you can learn on your own with Stop the Bleed. You can go to accident scene management and learn all these different things. That way you know what to do. But let's go ahead and move forward just a little bit more. And I just want to talk a little bit while this is playing is that is a full thickness cut, okay? So the fact that it stopped bleeding is very good, but that could be bleeding quite a bit, and you really need to take care of it. So what they're going to be doing here is they're going to go ahead and wash it out. Now, my biggest concern with washing things out is that you're going to be removing a lot of the clotting agents from the blood, so all the platelets that are going to be removed. So it's going to start bleeding again, but the cool thing is, and the biggest thing here is that you're going to remove a lot of foreign bodies, you're going to remove a lot of foreign things, and if it bleeds, see it's still bleeding, it's a little bit of a venous bleed. So if it bleeds after that, that's fine, just go ahead and reclot it. So go ahead and put some more of this on here. So exactly what he's doing right here is he's going to apply some type of fabric, and that right there now is pressure. Now, he removed a hand of his. So he basically, the rider right here has nothing. He can't ride, he can't do anything. Don't offer anybody water in case they need surgery, but he can't ride. So this is a bad thing. That's why you need to have this. That way you need to have a compression bandage so that it is holding it there so he doesn't have to hold it with his hand. If it continues to bleed, that's where the tourniquet is. And that's one of the things that I like to have on my bike is a medical kit so that anything like this that happens randomly, I'm able to solve the problem and then we can get ourselves out of the situation instead of sitting around waiting. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? How do we get home? What's happening? Hopefully we have service. You have service, no service? I don't want to be dependent on that. And I know you guys as motorcycle riders don't want to be dependent on that. And you're going to go out there and you're going to make sure you have what you need to have. So I will have links in the description where you can buy some of these things. I'll just share what I bought and you can start from there. But the best thing you can do is take an accident scene management class. It's like buying a bike before you take an MSF rider course and then you realize you don't want the bike. So if you take the class, you're going to know exactly what you need to get, how to use it, what to get, how to, all those things. So please do that. Take the class, learn how to use it, then build up your kit and save another rider's life. And that's part of the smart rider principles of rescuing another rider with medical training. We want to be able to do that. And how cool would it be to help your buddy out and now you guys have this bonding moment? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Anyways, with that said, I hope you guys ride safe, be safe. Hopefully this guy's arm is doing a lot better, and I'll see you later.